The hardest part is picking only 5. Catch you next time. Okay, so now can we talk about how fucked up it is that there's a large, very visible, very vocal contingent of the atheist skeptic community that is now literally carrying water and making excuses for convicted child molester Jerry Sandusky? Because I don't know, maybe it's just the way I was brought up, maybe I was raised wrong, but I think it's kind of indefensible to take up for a convicted child molester, for a man about whose guilt there can be no reasonable doubt. And the basis on which that guilt is now being questioned and the severity of his crimes is now being undermined by supposed critical thinkers and skeptics is that I guess his conviction was, according to them, based on repressed memory therapy, and that's a very dubious science. And they say, well, because these witnesses, these people who claim they were molested by Sandusky when they were children and teenagers, they recalled these experiences through repressed memory therapy, and that's just quackery. Therefore, Sandusky is probably innocent. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's an article that was published recently in Skeptic magazine, which of course is published by Michael Shermer, who is a scumbag. I believe the women who say that he raped them and sexually harassed them. He's a piece of shit. The fact that he is still accepted in much of the skeptic and atheist community is an indictment of how morally bankrupt the organized wing of this community is. The fact that people like Dan Barker will still tweet pictures of holding up Dan Barker's newly published book, and he'll say foreword by Michael Shermer, as if it's something to be proud of that a fucking accused rapist and sexual pest wrote the foreword for my new book. Yay! People like Seth Andrews still have him on their podcasts. He was a guest on the Thinking Atheist podcast in 2016. That's 2 years after the allegations were made public and were widely known. I mean, if you are a famous male atheist, what do you have to do to get your fellow famous male atheists to turn their backs on you, to kick you out of their little fucking club? Whatever it is, it must be pretty bad, because being credibly accused of rape and other forms of sexual assault and harassment by multiple women isn't enough to do it. It isn't even enough to get most of them to look up or even admit that they've heard such allegations. Defending child molesters, convicted child molesters whose convictions were upheld by appeals courts, isn't gonna do it. Go fuck yourself. Anyone who still defends him and tries to suggest on the basis of reason and critical thinking and examining the evidence that Jerry Sandusky is probably innocent of these horrible crimes. How do you look at yourself in the mirror and make this argument in public, and then how do you see someone else making that argument and say, hey, I'll publish that in my magazine, or say, hey, I will share that article, I will tweet it, I will put my reputation as a skeptical, critical, reasonable person behind this and say, yeah, the guy who's arguing in favor of Jerry fucking Sandusky sounds good to me. Help up your own ass with the certainty that you are the rational one, that you are the logical one, that you have worked all of this out. How fucked, just in general, do you have to be to take up for Jerry Sandusky, convicted child molester? You know, all these assholes who do everything they can to cast doubt whenever a woman, or a man for that matter, or even a child apparently, comes forward with allegations that someone hurt them in a sexual way, that someone raped them or molested them or did some other awful, unspeakable crime to them. These people will do everything they can to cast doubt on those allegations, or to try and convince other people to withhold judgment, to forestall coming to a conclusion. And they always say, well, hey, you know, an allegation isn't proof. Let's just wait until the courts have their say. And now apparently, even after you've had your day in court and you've been convicted, and that conviction has been upheld on appeal, that's still not good enough. What the fuck do you have to do before David Smalley says, you know what, I'm not gonna have you on my podcast. I don't care how famous of an atheist you are. I'm not gonna take up for you. I'm not gonna come crashing into other people's conversations to try and change the subject whenever somebody tries to bring up what a scumbag you are, or what a serious problem it is that so many people in the atheist/skeptical community are willing to defend and make excuses for scumbags like Shermer, and like the author of this piece, and like fucking Jerry Coyne, who wrote his own article in defense of the skeptic piece and was shared by sympathetic people, including fucking Daniel Dennett. Fuck you too, buddy. You used to be one of the good ones. You were like the last bastion. Oh, he's the horseman who isn't so bad. He's the horseman who is actually one of the reasonable ones. Oh, turns out no. He's okay with child molester apologism as well. So fuck him too. I completely get why anyone with an ounce of fucking self-respect or empathy or sympathy or sensitivity for other people and their safety and their feelings and their peace of mind and just a shred of humanity and concern for others that reaches beyond their own fucking ego are fleeing this community in droves. There are lots of people who don't believe in God. There are lots of people who might approach life with a skeptical mindset and value critical thinking, or who have very critical things to say about religion or certain other types of philosophy or magical thinking or things that are pseudoscience or kinds of pseudo-medicine, quackery, all of those things. There are lots of people who have those attitudes, who have those ways of thinking, and they would not be caught dead at a skeptic or an atheist conference. They don't want to be thought of as atheists. They don't claim that label. And do you ever wonder why it's so difficult to get people who are non-believers, who may, practically speaking, be atheists, to publicly call themselves atheists, to identify with this group? It's because so many of the most prominent, visible atheists in the world, they're invited to conferences, they get book deals, they can write books, they get invited on talk shows and podcasts and TV to represent the atheist point of view, and I guess we're all just supposed to forget about the fact that they don't care about rape victims, they don't care about increasing visibility or awareness for trans folks in their communities or for people of color. They don't give a shit about the reputation that they have contributed to, that the atheist and skeptical community has, as being tolerant of racism, even to the point of Nazism, and being tolerant of sexism and misogyny and sexual abuse and harassment. They don't care about any of this. They consider these boutique issues, they consider these niche concerns that just those people over there worry about it. It's really just more of a pest thing than anything else. It's not something that we should really be forced to think about and reckon with. It's just something that those little people over there get all bent out of shape about. We serious, important white guy skeptics, we're on to more important things. We devote our time to more consequential matters, like trying to convince the readers of our magazines and the followers of us on Twitter that Jerry fucking Sandusky is innocent. Fuck every single person with a platform and an audience and influence in this community who has stood by and just watched while all of these other assholes platformed and mainstreamed fucking neo-Nazis and now are defending child molesters. And then they sit around and they wonder, oh gee, why do skeptics and atheists have such a bad reputation? It's because of you, you fucking dipshit. You reprehensible, contemptible sack of shit. It's because of you. Because you either do that stuff yourself on a regular basis, or you know your buddies do, and you say nothing about it. And you try to silence the people who raise their voices to protest. But of course, you know, my question from earlier where I said, what do you have to do to get these assholes to kick you out of their asshole club? I actually know what you have to do. It's really not that much of a mystery. Here's all you have to do. All you have to do is start advocating feminism, or advocating the plight of some marginalized group, or saying to your fellow white people, you know, maybe we should all just quiet down, just take a seat and let these other folks have a turn and let them tell their own stories and let them inform us as to what is important to them, and maybe raise our awareness about some issues in the community, in our circles, that we haven't paid enough attention to. Why don't we all just take a seat and be quiet? If you do that, oh, that's the unforgivable sin. That'll get you kicked out real quick. Just ask PZ Myers about that. Or if someone makes a sex abuse or assault allegation against one of your fellow big shot white male atheists, and you take it seriously, and you say, actually, maybe we shouldn't hang out with this guy anymore. Maybe we shouldn't go to conferences where this guy is invited. Maybe we should draw a line in the sand and say, okay, we're not with him anymore. We want him out. And if you want to do business with the rest of us, you're going to have to not do business with him. He's not welcome. He can't sit with us. The suggestion that you do that, oh my God, deplatform someone, no platform, accused rapists, no platform, Nazis and people who take up for them. Oh, oh, we can't do that. Oh no, you can't sit with us. The people who make excuses for Nazis can sit with us. The people who want to assure everybody else, oh no, actually, there's no big deal. The Nazis, yeah, they're not that important. Nothing to worry about. Yeah, they can still sit with us, say all the white male atheist big shots. They can all sit with us. The child molesters, or maybe not the child molester. Actually, he probably isn't a child molester. So come on over, Jerry. Sit down. I read that article in Skeptic. It sounds like you're probably not a child molester after all. So come sit down. No need to believe victims. No need to believe people when they come forward and tell you that they've been raped or molested or harassed. They're probably making it up. You know, rape is a crime that doesn't really happen all that often. And people who come forward with allegations, they're probably making it up, or they're misremembering. They're the victim of some quack doctor giving them hypnotherapy to make them recover fictional repressed memories. Rape doesn't happen all that often. Sexual harassment doesn't happen all that often. Feminism has gone too far. So if you advocate for any of that stuff, you have to go away. We'll discredit you. We will spew you from our mouths. But if you're okay with platforming Nazis, if you're okay with sitting next to a probable rapist, hi Mike, you can sit with us. If you're okay with people who defend and challenge the guilt of convicted child molesters, you can sit with us. You have a seat at the head table of skepticism. The part that makes me feel the most foolish is that there was a time, really not so long ago, maybe a year ago or so, when I actually thought that the real world version of the skeptical atheist community was better than the YouTube version. It turns out, at least at the highest level, when you get to the level of your Shermers and your Dennett's and your Harrises and your Coins, it's actually exactly the fucking same. It's the same thing. Why does David Smalley have a podcast? He should have a YouTube channel. He's got the act down perfect.